G'day Earthlings, Dr. Rank here, and welcome to Gaming Legends, the show where unhinged lunatics compete for trivial prizes. In Crash Tag Team Racing, you have to explore a theme park to save a German cyborg from a heart attack. Unfortunately, this game has such an identity crisis that any one challenge run would be way too easy. So instead, we're gonna combine them. Can you beat Crash Tag Team Racing without gas pedals, guns, or spins? That's right, we're doing 3 separate challenge runs all at the same time. We are not allowed to press the gas button while driving, the shoot button while operating a gun, or use the spin attack while on foot. Additionally, we have to do every car event in hard mode where applicable. The rest of the rules are taken from the any % no PSW speedrun category. All glitches are allowed except for the penguin spacewalk, mostly because I have no idea how to do it. The run is complete when we trigger the ending cutscene. The first step of the run is to throw the game in the trash. On the PS2 version, the accelerate and shoot buttons are mapped to both X and R2, making it way too easy to press them by accident. But the PSP version doesn't have an R2 button, making it much safer. This is also advantageous for the run itself, as the PSP version replaced Crash's Trikey with the Retro Prime, which happens to be slightly faster. While you can unlock this car on PS2 with a USB cable, it just works better on the PSP itself. Plus, since the PSP isn't region locked, we can also use it to play the Japanese version. While this version is admittedly inferior in many ways, it also moves the confirm button in menus from X to circle, making accidental gas pedal use far less likely. Not to mention, we get to play as the one and only Kurasshu Bandikū himself. Most of the run will be spent platforming in the hub worlds, where spinning is rarely required to proceed. We will want as many Wumpa coins as possible though, and we can easily break boxes with a belly flop. In order to progress through the story, we need to find the power gem to open each hub world, which contains the power gem required for the next. To reach the gem, we need to collect power crystals and use them to unlock a launch pad, with the full game requiring 65 crystals total. Each hub has 3 crystals out in the open to collect, as well as 3 more that can be purchased from park drones for 1,000 Wumpa coins apiece. For Mystery Island though, one of those crystals only costs 500, as it's given to us by Cortex in exchange for his ninja outfit. There's also a free crystal for unlocking Nina's first car, which just involves handing over her keys. The majority of crystals, however, will come from mini-games and car events. Most of the mini-games are of the shooting gallery variety, so they're just straight up impossible. But we can still do Von Klotch's bowling lanes for an easy crystal. As for car events, the easiest ones will be the battle arenas, the first of which being either Jungle Rumble on console or the Tragic Kingdom on PSP. These arenas have 2 crystals each up for grabs if we can be the first team to score 10 KOs. And before you ask, no, unlocking extra battle arenas with a PS2 to PSP link does not let you get extra crystals. Obviously, we're not going to kill anyone without guns, but if we swap to the driver's seat, we can have Cortex do all the shooting for us.
Oh, did I forget to mention I was going to cheat?
Speaking of driving, this game has a completely different control system from CTR and CNK. The only way we can move is to either reverse with the square button, or use a turbo boost to go forwards. The latter requires a full boost gauge, which fills up gradually with each kill. You can also charge the boost by drifting, but drifting requires forward momentum in the first place and isn't very sustainable. After winning the Tragic Kingdom, we already have more than enough crystals to unlock the launch pad in Mystery Island. But why on earth would I do that? All the gem here actually does is lower a drawbridge at the Happily Ever Faster entrance. As it happens, the hinge on that drawbridge has its own collision, which extends just far enough to give us a boost and let us grab the above ledge. This skip reduces the amount of crystals we need by 8. There's another skip we can do in Happily Ever Faster itself. By wedging Crash into this corner, we can get a solid enough footing to grab the ledge and bypass the launch pad entirely. That saves another 10 crystals and gives us the gem for Tyrannosaurus Rex. Before going there though, I took a crack at the first stunt arena, Hardly Ever Land. The goal here is to perform air tricks to score points, but I had trouble getting a valid jump off the ramps in reverse. 5 minutes is too short to farm enough points for a gold trophy. But that's not the only problem I found here. Remember how I said the PSP didn't have an R2 button and thus was safer for the run?
That was a lie. I apologize for that.
Turns out, a colorblind programmer at Radical Entertainment left out a critical detail on the controls menu. The gas button on PSP is mapped to both the X button and the R button. In stunt arenas, the R button is also mapped to starboard barrel rolls, and in all other car events, it's the swap positions button. Since the R button operates the gas pedal while performing these actions at the same time, that means we can't do them. If we ever end up in the driver's seat while clashed, we're not allowed to swap back. Speaking of which, we're 3 hub worlds in and we haven't done an actual racetrack yet. Thankfully, this changed with Tyrannosaurus Rex. The launch pads from here on are unskippable, and while I did have enough crystals to unlock this one, I still needed more coins for the crystal purchases. In the console version, I could have just done the second battle arena, Extinction Party, but on PSP, that arena is replaced with Fight Like an Egyptian, which doesn't appear until the next hub. So, an hour and a half into the run, I entered the first race on Tiki Turbo. Obviously, we're way too slow to get ahead of the pack, so our first goal should be to hit an item box in reverse. This is easier said than done. Not only is the rear view mirror absent on PSP, but if we reverse for too long at once, Crash will try to do a U-turn and face the wrong way. If this happens too close to a wall, it can push your wheels against it and get you stuck, forcing a restart. But once you hit the item box, the tide can start turning. Most of the items are purely for offense, but one item that can appear in the back is a full boost gauge refill. With a little luck, you could even chain multiple boosts together with later item boxes. Once you catch up to the car in 7th, hit triangle to clash with them and become their gunner. The AI is smart enough to use turbo boosts automatically, and if they hit an item box, you'll get a gunner exclusive one-hit KO item used with the circle button. Shock missiles and robot dogs can home in on opponents in front of you, while submarines, cows, and pianos can be dropped behind you for multi-kills. I also recommend manually unclashing just before the finish line. You'll still get the crystals if you win while clashed, but staying clashed for too long runs the risk of a last-minute betrayal. Pirates of the Carburetor uses the same strategy, but going backwards from the start line for the last item box set rather than forwards for the first. I should also mention that each track has 4 additional challenges, but sadly none are possible as far as I can tell. Rolling Thunder and Run and Gun are both rail shooters, which makes them absolutely hopeless. Crashinator and Fast Lap show more promise, but given the strict time limits, not by much. In Toontown, we can do Fight Like an Egyptian easily, and I actually managed to score some points in Mummy Mash by surviving the first wave. Not enough for even a bronze trophy, but still a record for this type of minigame. With another 15 crystals spent on the launch pad, we can reach the final gem and unlock the final hub world, Astroland. The stunt arena, Space Stunts, was just as impossible as the last one for the same reasons. But we can do Astrolane's Bowling, which is a cakewalk. I even managed to get a spare in frame 10, followed by a strike. This leaves our crystal count at 15, with 20 needed to finish the game. Winning 3 more races will put us over the top. Deep sea driving is much easier than its CNK counterpart, but there is still a significant issue. This track has a shortcut through a sunken pirate ship, which has a unique item box. Collecting this item box will increase your crystal count by 1, and is auto-saved instantly without the need to win or even finish the race. However, in order for that shortcut to appear, the ship has to be sunk in a cutscene triggered by lighting a cannon fuse in Mystery Island. And the only way to light that fuse is by spinning, so we're locked out of this shortcut. The same also applies to Once Upon a Tire, which has a shortcut across the dance floor requiring us to spin a key in Happily Ever Faster. In fact, none of the secret shortcuts are accessible in this run. Track and the Beanstalk is one of the shortest tracks in the game, and consequently, one of the hardest. The first item box set is a good 35 seconds in front of us, and by that time the CPUs are halfway through lap 1. With a boost chain from the second set, we can just barely clash with Crunch or Pasadena, but we only have 2.5 laps to catch up. I was in third on the final turn, and while I did hit Engine with a Shark Missile, Nina just barely escaped my sub. Cortex behind me didn't though, which gave me enough boost to overtake Nina, winning the race. That victory puts our crystal count at 21, allowing us to unlock the final launch pad, reach Willy Wumpercheeks, and pull the lever to stop the rocket. With Willy offering us a nice refreshing drink, the Crash Tag Team Racing unfueled gunless spinless run is officially conquered. But hang on, 42%? 5 out of 15 tracks? You call that finished? We're kicking things up a notch and aiming for the maximum possible completion percentage. Since we're a little low on crystals, let's do the next track first. E-Velocity has a one-way drop right before the finish line, so we're forced to go forwards for the item boxes. Crunch and I had a very strong lead for the majority of lap 3, but he managed to betray me at the last second. No. Oh! Did you see that? Crunch unclashed first, but I reclashed with him at the last second. With that photo finish, I decided to start unlocking more vehicles. I deliberately skipped unlocking Pasadena and Von Clutch's cars earlier, as they require 1 crystal each and I was prioritizing launch pads at the time. But now that we have some crystals to spare, we have no problem unlocking them. After all the tier 1 cars are unlocked, we can work on the tier 2s, starting with Von Clutch's Der Pickle for 3,000 coins. This unlocks the faster speed option for races, which I tested out in fossil fuel injection. Crash, Coco, Cortex, and Pasadena's cars all require unique items from Happily Ever Faster. Crunch's is purchased directly, and Nina and Engine both require us to buy their respective outfits. The other characters all have outfits to buy too, which are auto-equipped when purchased. But take a look at what happens if we buy an outfit for Crash specifically. He does a spin attack to get changed, which makes every single one of Crash's outfits off limits. La Brea Car Pits should, by all accounts, have been a difficult track, with geysers on the final stretch that like to throw you around. But nope, I beat it on the first try. Shame we can't unlock the Volcano shortcut though. Tire and Ice, meanwhile, had one of the closest finishes in the run. No, 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 no. Oh! How was that? Dead Heat had a pretty good start, but I passed Coco while she was in Clash mode, which made her the gunner. Thankfully, I was able to pick up an extra boost item from the next box. And once that ran out, I was able to unclash and reclash with her, putting myself in the gunner's seat as God intended. Very close finish with this one too, with a last minute KO on Crunch. Crash Test Mummies, with its inaccessible shortcut, took me several attempts to get a good run. Coco nearly clashed with me again, but I was able to reject it with Triangle at the last second, then clash with her myself. In hindsight, I recommend turning on auto-reject clashing in the options menu so you don't have to rely on this. After winning that race, I finally had enough coins to buy Crunch's Overcompensator, meaning I can finally work on the tier 3 cars. Since I had the cash, I went with Nina's Slave Driver first, which also gave me an extra crystal. That's not the only reward though. We also unlock the highest possible car speed, Insane. After grabbing the slippers for Engine, I tested this speed out in Pyramid Pass. Unlike every other track in the game, you spawn close enough to Coco that you can clash with her immediately. Furthermore, if you're boosting on this corner, the AI will take the shortcut under the waterfall automatically. At this point, I had 14 crystals, and 4 of the remaining cars require 12 crystals between them. I also had enough coins to buy Crunch's last car, but not Pasadena's. To get any more, we have to go through the infamous Rings of Uranus.
That is not how it is pronounced. It is on this channel.
This is the baby park of the game, with each lap only lasting 15 seconds at best, but the race is extended to 9 laps. You are almost guaranteed to get lapped before you reach the first item box, but there's still plenty of time to catch up. And before you ask, no, you can't just clash with second when they're a lap ahead. You'll still legally be in 8th. Once you do find a viable clash partner, I recommend directing all your shock missiles toward the car in first, while dropping ground items slightly in front to kill those behind you. Next we have Uranus's Mine, which has several massive jumps with boost pads in front of them. If this was CTR or CNK, we'd have to worry about getting boosted the wrong way as we reversed onto it. But in this game, that's not a problem, because boost pads don't work in reverse. If we reverse off the first jump, we immediately fall in the pit, respawning on the other side with slight yet insufficient forward momentum. Thankfully, there are some item boxes at the end of the lap we can use instead, which prove much more reliable. Also, I promise I did win this one, but I have no idea how because OBS decided to stop working and cut off the stream. The final track, Craters on Uranus, has another secret shortcut we can't use, but with an item box right behind us, it was an absolute cakewalk. With no further races to win, we can focus on cleaning up the hub worlds. Each hub has a chicken challenge where you have to collect all the chickens within the time limit. There's actually a bit of cheese we can do with 3 of these. If you collect a gem while a chicken challenge is active, every single chicken will respawn, allowing you to essentially duplicate them. For obvious reasons, I did this in my initial passes of the hub worlds. There's also several dioramas, which are death animations turned into a collectible years before Henry Stickmin did it. Most dioramas are triggered just by pressing triangle near them, though a small handful require you to fall into something. Several dioramas, though, require you to spin something. Since we can't spin, we're locked out of Mechanic Monday, For Every Action, Nature Strikes Back, Tough Chicken, Big Bang Theory, and Defenestrated. We also miss out on getting Poultry's Revenge. While it is just a triangle prompt, that prompt won't appear until we unlock the deep sea driving shortcut. There's also one more interesting omission. The smell of money is absent in the Japanese version. That may sound like a bad thing since there's one less diorama to collect, but each individual diorama is worth slightly more percentage as a result. 26 out of 33 is still less than 27 out of 34, but the difference is so negligible that it doesn't affect the visible percentage in-game. The final collectible to worry about is the remaining missions, specifically the weapon upgrades. All Tier 2 weapons cost 500 coins each, while the Tier 3 weapons cost 1 crystal each. But this is where we have a bit of a quandary. After obtaining every possible crystal in the run and spending them on cars, we have exactly 8 crystals to our name. This would be enough to buy all the Tier 3 weapons, or unlock the launch pad in Mystery Island and reach the gem there, but not both at once. The only reason speedrunners collect that gem in 100% runs is because depositing it is required to complete a mission. However, it only completes a mission, while the Tier 3 weapons each have their own separate missions. Since 8 is a bigger number than A, we spend our last crystals on weapons. Our final completion totals are 0 track secrets, 26 dioramas, 65 missions, 15 trucks unlocked, 4 arenas unlocked, 8 minigames unlocked, 69 crystals, 24 vehicles, 7 outfits, and 5 chicken challenges for a total of 68% completion. And would you look at that, we've now done a challenge run of every single home console Crash game. I can finally put this series to rest.